assume business. You are the owner of a one-person business when you have a sole proprietor. The only cost of forming is for you to file some type of license or permit and other regulatory requirement. Now, when you're dealing with corporation, you know you're going to file that with the Secretary of State. But when you deal with sole proprietor, most likely you're going to go to the city government or the county government and file. And there is requirements to do that. We're going to talk about that. The only cost of forming is filing for a license, as we just said. You will enjoy what is called pass-through taxation of your income. What is pass-through taxation? That is this: the company does not pay taxes. You pay the taxes. Okay, you own ABC company. All right, you sell a product or a service. Because it is a sole proprietor, it do not pay taxes. The money that is made through the identification of that company, AB, is passed through you to file on your 1040s, income tax. So it passes through to you to file on your own personal taxes. As a sole proprietor, there are no employees to chip in part of your Social Security and Medicare benefits. If you are a business, a lot of people think that they have to work on a job to pay the FICA taxes so they can get Part A, Part B. As a business owner, you can also pay toward your Social Security. You're making money. You are a business. Okay, so now the money that you take out for your taxes, you send it out through your tax people, or and many times, like for example, I think it's unemployment, you can pay it through your bank, and they would take it and file it in. Okay, so but talk to your tax person, and they will give you instructions on how to pay for the FICA taxes. How does this structure affect your spouse? Now, it says that you are a sole proprietor. It's a one-person party, right? You are the owner. But if you are married and you have a spouse, there are some things that you must take in consideration. For example, if one spouse manages a business and the other help out as an employee or volunteer worker, they only help out as an employee or volunteer worker, not contribute to the running of the business, the managing spouse can claim ownership and treat the business as a sole proprietor. They are just there helping. And they are not running and doing the finances and doing the claims that, hey, this is my business. Okay? The liability for a sole proprietor. This is the most risky structure that you can have in business, because 100% of the company liability for debt and legal claims becomes the responsibility of the owner. You assuming all responsibility. You do not have the protection like you will in a corporation. If the business failed to pay suppliers, banks, or other bills from other businesses, the owner is personally liable for the unpaid debt. We said it in the beginning. This is a one-person business, right? You assume all risks. Now, there is an exception. The only members of the business are a husband or wife who file a joint 1040 tax return. Both spouses materially participate in the trade of the business, not as a volunteer or just doing work, but they actually participate in the operation of the business. Both spouses elect not to be created as a partnership. You assume just because you have a partner, a spouse, it's a partnership. The only time it's a partnership is when you go out and file for your partnership agreement with the Secretary of State. Okay? Let's talk about corporations. How to form a corporation. Now, I'm going through this because as we go through this, you need to know the understanding, the structure of businesses. So, and then what are the advantages and the disadvantages of being a sole proprietor, being a corporation or a partnership? The corporation filing fees and prepare, when you form a corporation, you pay the corporation filing fees, and you use the appropriate forms from the Secretary of State of your state, okay, of your state, whether it's Alaska, California, or whatever. You have to go to your Secretary of State and get the proper documentation. Here in Illinois, it's called a BCA 210. And when you get that form, you have to fill that form out, and you fill it out. You can fill it out two ways, electronically or through paper. If you wanted to file and get there and be processed quicker, you might want to do electronically. For tax purposes, there are two types of corporation. Now, you hear someone say C corporation or just corporation or being incorporated. No matter what the term you use, it's still a C corporation. A S corporation or a subchapter S corporation, you must first file for a corporation, then you petition the Internal Revenue Service for what is called S status. Okay? And what that means, we're going to go into it a little bit more in a few seconds here, but a corporation is just another name for a regular for-profit corporation tax under the normal corporation income tax rules. A C corporation. It's just another name that they call it. You can call it, I got a corporation, or I got a C corp, or whatever the case may be. Now, a S corporation is called a subchapter S corporation. Get the pass-through tax treatment of a partnership and the limited liability of a corporation, much like an LLC. What that means is this. An S corporation, I always think of it as like the dinosaur, because now they got the new thing called the LLCs, right? But when you petition the Internal Revenue Service, you are saying to the Internal Revenue Service, listen, I want the protection of a corporation, but also wanted the money that is made through that corporation to pass through me so I can pay it as if I was an individual on my 1040. So you're getting protected from personal assets, people suing you for your personal assets, but at the same time, you are taking that money and you treating it as if it's your money. Why is that possible? Because as we go through here, you're going to see that a corporation is a person. A full C corporation is a person. When you file for a full C corporation, you don't own it. You think you own it. You are an officer of that corporation. If you were to take $1 from that corporation, you spent your own hard-earned money to file for that corporation, and you took $1 to buy a stack of bubble gum, a piece of bubble gum, you can go to jail for embezzlement. And people don't realize that. They don't realize that. Because you took from the corporation, you're an officer. If the bylaws in the acts does not say you can take one piece of gum, $1 for a piece of gum, you just embezzle. Unless you go buy a stack of gum, 5 pieces. You got 5 directors. You pass a stack of gum to everybody at a board meeting. Then you can say to the, well, we use it for the board. You understand what I'm saying? How can you prove to the Internal Revenue Service that that one piece of gum benefits the whole corporation? Just like that guy, that preacher, got 3 Mercedes-Benz or Bentleys and a big $40 million house, and they said, well, how does this benefit the church congregation? Well, they want me to have a certain lifestyle. No, I didn't. I didn't want you to have no certain lifestyle. I wanted the lifestyle. So pass one of them Benz over here. I'll meet you at the meeting. So the most common way to be in business is through a corporation now. The corporations are created and regulated by state laws. They are called privileges. It's a privilege to own a corporation, okay? And it falls up under the Corporation Act of 1986. That book, if you print it, is that thick, so you don't have to print it. I sit and read that book, and I read it. And when you do bylaws, you must have that book next to you because there's the laws in there. It tells you how many board of directors members you can have. What is the purpose of what is the definition of transactive business for purposes? Your purpose. What does that definition means? All of that is in that act. The major factors regarding the C corporation is how the federal and state laws view it. It is a legal person. It is a legal person, tax entity separate from any other people who own, control, or manage or operate it. If you can't see this, don't worry about this. You know, what happens is that the computer shifted because there was a new whole presentation and it was all in white. Don't worry about it. I knew it. I tell you, I'm Reverend Knight. No, okay? So it's a legal person, okay? A corporation. You are just an officer of the corporation, even though you filed your money to file, okay? The duties and responsibilities of a corporation is to issue stock. Many of us start a C corporation and we never issue stock. And when you ask, okay, what do you do? I own my own business. I own a corporation. But you never issue yourself stock. And we're going to talk about the various forms of stocks and what they are called. Okay? You elect officers. You are the officers, the president, the secretary, the treasurer, the executive vice president, the chief executive officer, the chief alignment officers, the chief financial officer. All of those are officers. Your whole regular board meetings and shareholders meeting. You know, when I do the minority certification and there's one person owns the corporation, the so-called, and they said, do you own 51% of the corporation? Yeah, they class you as minority owned because they issue shares though, right? And it gives them the rights and the voting rights and everything else. So you have to have a meeting. So what you can do, if you are the only person, you can be the president, the secretary, the treasurer. You can be that officer as one person. But I would suggest that you find somebody that you really trust, you know, the wife, the mama, the daddy, somebody that you really trust, and they can be officer, but at least if they can read and write and you can sit down and they can give you some type of, you know, information. You know, you don't want to just get somebody who's not really understand, but you want to get somebody that you can bounce things off. You understand what I'm saying? And business-wise, do it sound ethical? Is it legal? And you want to have a board. Now, there's a different types of board now, because there's a different types of board for a non-profit, it is for a for-profit. They have different responsibility, I should say. You can't stack the board. We'll talk about that, okay? You keep corporate minutes of all meetings and follow the mandatory rules found in the state's corporate codes. Whatever state that you are in, find out what the statute says. Print it out. Yes, it's a lot of reading. But you don't want to lose your business. You don't want to go to court and they sue you for something and you don't know what the laws says. Read the Corporation Act. And as a CEO and a chairman, it is your responsibilities to know the laws. You can't assume that I hired the president, they're supposed to know everything. You don't have to know anything. How does the structure affect your spouse? Did I go backwards? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that went back.
Yeah, I went back. I'm going all the way back. Okay.
Here we are.
Okay. The purpose. When you file for a corporation, you're going to see it on that application. It says the purpose. And many times this is already printed. The transaction of any and all lawful purposes for which corporation may be incorporated under the, whatever your state is. This is the Illinois Benefit Corporation Act. I normally add some things to create small and home-based businesses for the general public. So I be a little bit specific. You know, I can go to teach dance, you know, to conduct, to become a music producer. Whatever you want, you can add on to this to be specific, because when you go and you say, I am a corporation and I have a production company, it's specified in your article. Because people will ask you for a copy of your article of incorporation. And what you file with the Justice White or whatever your Secretary of State is, you can have it written in there. Okay? You must be at least how old? 18 years of old. Now, I did say we would help you if you're 9 years of age. But I also say your mama and your daddy and your guardians must be the ones who are the incorporators. You understand what I'm saying? Because they got all kinds of laws, drum shop laws, which deals with children and everything else. But you want to make sure that they are doing things is legal. So if your child is out there talking about their company, if somebody say, well, what are you doing? They can run a check and it's there. You're there. Look at your bylaws. This gives you the power to choose who you want to be the president. And then you vote on it and everybody in the House say yes. What is a registered agent? It's going to be on the papers. It's going to ask for a registered agent. A registered agent can be anybody that can receive processes like subpoenas and things from the Jesse White or whoever is suing you, the lawyers. It's just a person. Let's assume that you rented a store and you decided to move from that store. The Secretary of State is going to send a document to what? To that store. They didn't know you moved because you never called them and told them. So they look for the registered agent. Some people feel that they have to go get a lawyer for a registered agent. They got to pay somebody for a registered. Receive the stuff yourself. You've been in your house for 30 years. Are you planning on leaving? When you get rich, you are. Then file the paper. It says, we want to change of address. They got that paper too. The registered agent address may also be where the state will send the paperwork for the yearly renewal of the business entity charter. I have seen people file in other states. They go to Delaware and they file. Because they don't know anything about laws and the operations of a corporation. They get a lawyer in Delaware. They file the paper. They get a company in Delaware to be the registered agent just to receive a document. Who then call you up and say you got a document or forward it to you. That's a waste of money. You know, you be the registered agent. The registered agent for a business entity may be an individual member of the company or more often a third party. Yeah, you can get somebody else. Such as an organization, lawyer, or a service company. If that's what you want to do. The fees. There will be a fee in your state for filing a corporation. Here in Illinois, there's a $25 franchise fee and a $150 filing fee. If you want to expedite it, get it back in 24 to 48 hours. You pay an additional $100 plus the credit card charge, and boy, you'll get it back quick. You get it back quick. I have filed on Friday, and before that Tuesday morning, that stuff is there. You understand? Especially if you got a good thing you want to, well, I got to get this filed. You don't want to wait. But even if you file and it takes 10 or more days, if it's accepted, their initial filing date, they're going to accept that. Words of wisdom. When you file, most Secretary of States that give 2 copies, 1 to them, 2 to them, so they can send 1 back to you, and they keep 1. I say file 3. 1 for you when you walk out that door. If you're going down to the corporate office, 2 for them. Let me tell you the reason why. All of a sudden you didn't get your corporation paper and you're wondering why. You go there and you say, but I filed, and they said, well, let me look. I can't find it. And they might be one of those people that says, I'm not going to spend all day to find it. Well, I just can't find it, and I got to go to lunch in about 15 minutes. And you got no way of proving it. But if you go down with 3 copies, when they stamp, file on this day, file on that day, please stamp mine so I can have for my own record. Bam. So now when you go there and they can't find it and you pull that paper but you stamped it, they must find it. You understand what I'm saying? That's just for CYA yourself. Okay? A $100 expedited fee is included because the article and incorporation are reviewed within what? 24 hours. Might be different in your state. Okay? And that's excluding Saturday, Sunday, and holiday. Payment must be in the form of a credit card. Here in Illinois, check with your state to find out what form that they might use. I remember they didn't take Visa. Yes, sir. But now they do. All corporation filed online will have only 1 class of stock. If you file online, you put down 1 class of stock, which is called common stock. I want y'all to remember this word, common stock. Because when they ask you for the class and the type of stock, it's going to be a common stock. Check with your state. It might be different. I'm talking about Illinois. This is what we've been filing. We're going to talk about common class A, common class B, non-par value, preferred stock, all of those different types of things. But you're going to file for, you're going to use common stock. The numbers of shares of common stock to be authorized must be set forth along the number of shares of common stock proposed to be issued. What that means is this. On that application, they're going to say type of stock and class. You say common. I put common A. And then I write behind that A, voting stock. Because the stock has no value in the common stock. The preferred stock has the value you trade on the stock market. But you're dealing with common stock to show ownership. I normally, because Secretary of State here in Illinois don't care how many you issue. Some people said 200, some people said 500. I said 100,000. You know why I said 100,000? Because I issue me 51,000 show 51% ownership. The other 49,000, and in your bylaws is going to say for every stock that you have 1 vote. If you got 51,000 shares, oh, you can say 1,000, and you do 5,000 or 501, and leave the other 499. You can do that. But when I put down 100,000, and then I talked to the Secretary of State, they said, we don't care how many you issue. You understand what I'm saying? The monetary consideration, you're going to see it says type of stock, class, common A, voting stock, issued $51,000, consideration $1,000. And how do you justify that $1,000? Did you not pay the $175 to file? Did you not buy the tables and the desks and the computers to start the company? Those are amount of money that you spend to show that you issued the stock because you are the one who paid the money. And this is your investment into your business. Add those receipts up. I did a trucking company, we put $7,000. How can you have a $125,000 truck? And so we put $7,000 consideration. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. In Illinois, when you file for a corporation, you are going to file every year an annual report. And they take those factors, they have a factor, the figure, and they say your consideration, and they'll tell you possibly use 1.00000 as a factor to multiply, and it gives you another factor, and that tells you how much money with the minimum of $25 that you will pay for an annual report, or $100 for your filing fee for your annual report. Now, in Illinois, it was $100 that I had to pay annually for my report. Let's talk about Delaware. People says, I go to Delaware. I had a young lady went to Delaware and she filed. She had the registered agent in Delaware. When the annual report came out, the attorneys filed for 1 million. They filed for 1 million shares. When the annual report came out, Delaware charged her $10 per share. They wanted a check for $51,000. She said, well, I don't have no $51,000. What do I do? I said, I don't know what you would do, but I know I would dissolve this company and file in Illinois. I would do it. I couldn't tell her what she can do. Yeah, but they didn't know that because they run into other states not knowing the other state laws. You must know the other state laws.
Well, she thinks she was saving money going to.
She thought that she was saving money until she got that annual report for $51,000. Albert, what can I do? And I said to her, I said, yeah, I don't know what you can do, but I know if it was me, and I was just talking about me, guys, I'll fill out that paper to say dissolved and goodbye. Run back to Illinois. So you got to know. These are little things that you got to know. You understand when, when you get your certificates. These are stock certificates. This is what they look like. They are beautiful. You understand what I'm saying? They're simple. You'll put in the number of stocks. Stock number 1, 51,000. This is certified at Albert Burks. I am the owner of this. And then you write it in your transfer book, because you're going to get a book. When you order this is where you order from. Write this down. Okay, let's go. Oh, you're going to get it in Balsa. Ain't that nice? Put that gold seal right there. Boy, that's some pretty stuff right there, ain't it? You get it in a 3-ring binder. The first time I got that, I thought I was big time. I was around that, I own a corporation. Yes. I'm out there trying to negotiate a contract. Sir, I would like to do work for you. See, I got my book. I got mine in Balsa. Shoot, I was out there playing. I was embossing paper just to see how the thing looked. I was doing, 20 customized stock certificate with corporate name on it. Yes, your name. Stock transfer ledger. Simple corporate. Then I did the bylaws, stuck it in my book. I was big time. I only paid $85 for the whole thing. Oh, big time corporation. You understand what I'm saying? Take this number down. 866 I hope it's still in business. 866, area code 754-4460. Or email, well, I'm not even give you the email, just call them up and see. Let's go real quickly. S Corporation. We already said that you filed a petition to the Internal Revenue Service that you would like to be protected like a corporation, but you want to pass through taxes to you. That's what the S Corporation. Then you can petition, like we just said, to petition for special tax purposes. Let's not get into that. It was preferred way of business owners to attain personal liability protection while retaining pass-through taxation. There's no longer hold muscle. Yeah, that too. What I'm saying is that, okay, people did this, but now they're moving more toward LLCs. Same concept. Because there are some advantages. S Corporation, no more than 100 shareholders. Must be a U.S. citizen. S Corporation, you can only sell to a U.S. citizen because the internal revenue is giving them that. If it was a foreigner and they don't pay taxes, you cannot sell this to a foreigner. But a LLC, you can. Limit the liability protection from the debts and other liability of the corporation. Doesn't have the same organization flexibility of the limit of the liability. Shareholders can't sell their shares to foreigners. It's right there. Nice. Okay? They have only one class of stock. It can't make public offering. You cannot sell to the put it on the stock market because the tax gate was given to you for you to file on your 1040. Okay? Profit and loss must be distributed to the shareholders in proportion to their stock holding. In other words, according to their investment. Let's not go into that. You guys want to be here next week? Yes. We're getting ready to go into the non-for-profit. Everybody that wants to go into the non-for-profit, I'm gonna tell you why the state and the churches are in trouble. Because you got to turn around and realize that you're supposed to separate religion from state. But this right here and what they did, bam. So we're gonna go into the nitty-gritty. Everybody should be telling their friend they're getting ready to talk about non-for-profit and what is needed. We're gonna go into the nitty-gritty of that thing. And then the next week, that's the what? The fourth week? Fifth? That's the fourth week? Yes, sir. Then we got one more week, and then we got 2 more weeks. Then we're gonna go into the minority certification. I'll tell everybody, I want everybody to get $2 million. Okay? Yeah. So, we out of here. I thank you for coming. I know that, you know, and I'm going to say this to you. If you join the Alliance Club, don't think that I'm not going to stick you in front of a class. You come to the convention, you might be up here showing something. I'm going to throw you to the wolves because you got to learn to negotiate your business. You're going to learn. I get scared every time I come up here. But this 248 pound can take care of itself. Talk to you. Bye-bye.